Happy New Year! Because I said 3, 2, 1 to you and me. So, happy. Is that how that works? Maybe? No, not. Oh, you dashed that. Not even like, nah, not really. No, not at all. Wow. Gosh. I think we are. We used our knowledge of the previous streams to work around the problem. The problem, Stuart, tell the audience about the problem. Yes. Yep. Yep. So it's actually not us. It's actually a YouTube glitch. Are you mute? Really? Well, you're not muted to me, and you're not muted to OBS. Oh, you've even got a soundbar. What do you mean? There's no reason we'll be muted. What? What? There's no evidence he's muted. Let me look on the line. Well, that's not an issue I was expecting. Because last time your audio wasn't showing up, but your audio is showing up now, so I don't know. Okay, I'll put you to max, see if you'll hear you now. No, you're still muted even though there's no reason you should be muted. No reason you're muted. I guess I restart my PC again. But there's no reason you should be at all. Oh, they can't hear you, but I'll relay what you said. So I guess turn it off again and see if it changes nothing to nothing. Okay. Also, no, you're not even that version. Say something again. All right, desktop audio 2. Subtitles. And then I think we should lower the lag, 'cause it's kind of annoying to check the lag situation if you're... Yeah, okay, I guess we'll see in a few minutes when I restart, and we'll see if that does something. Oh, yes. Yo, I'm so used to you being here. Yeah, he says stay tuned, guys. On my end, so you can press...
All I have is an end stream button.
Oh. I guess we're... Oh, there we go. Guess we're back on. I guess that's true. If you don't stop it, then... I guess we're still on, which means we're...
All right, can you hear me now?
Okay, I guess we'll see in a few minutes when I restart.
Because it's
we'll
important.
See if that does something. Okay, so I've got on the live me saying we'll... Oh, yes. We'll restart something. Yo, I'm so used to being here. Yeah, he says stay tuned, guys. On my end, so you can press... Oh, yeah, and it jumped right into us currently this time.
All I have is an end stream button.
And there you go. Well, that's interesting. So if you, okay. So if one of us does mess up, the live can be one uninterrupted video.
Everybody can hear me, and all he did was restart his PC. No changes were made to OBS, nothing. So, OBS. Anywho, we're back.
Hello, Stuart. Welcome back to Track Yards. He's Captain Foley.
And he's Commander Coggins.
And you're actually watching, guys, a live Track Yard, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
Because we're going to talk about ships. Well, ship.
A ship, yes. Before we do that, though, we got two super chats, so thank you. Olivia Julius, $5. I'm now presenting the most important person in Track Yards, like Specialist Jeff Jacobs. Hit like in honor of him. Yes. Leapot Swiftback, $2. It's grown on me. I wasn't a fan at first. LOL. I think that's a lot of people's reaction to this ship, but yes. Yeah, guys, I'm sure Sam is going to share this around, so I'll give you the spiel right now.
I do want to know what people think about this, genuinely, so I hope people jump in and join this chat. So, yeah, see you in a minute.
Super chats are very important, especially now, even though we have lower decks and usually we get more views and stuff with new shows. It's the revenue's kind of gone down a little bit. So if you can super chat, please feel free to do so. We would really appreciate it. It would help us out. Or join the channel. That's another fantastic way to help us on a monthly basis. If you can join the channel at the rank of Commander, Captain, or Admiral, we would appreciate it. And you can outrank us immediately and tell us what to do. It's one of the great things about joining the channel, actually, is you get your name highlighted and you get your comments read out more often, and you get recognized as being a supporter of the channel. So we really appreciate that. You can also join us over on Patreon/Trackyards and help us on a monthly basis on that front as well. Or you can send PayPal. Just let us know that you sent to PayPal. We will read your PayPal message from the email and get your voice heard. We do read every super chat we're given, so that's kind of important. A lot of the other YouTubers don't do that. They just let them fly by, don't acknowledge them, don't give thanks for anything. But we do. We pride ourselves on that anything, if you guys want to have your opinion heard, your question answered, whatever, we will read it if you send us a super chat, because we find that's very important as you're supporting us. So we will endeavor to take care of you guys by reading those out. So we are going to talk about the Cerritos today. We're in an interesting position right now because we're going to be learning quite a bit of new stuff about this ship, possibly tomorrow. This is kind of a spoiler for you guys, but we might be talking to somebody who knows stuff about this ship. So we're going to have a few questions to ask and things to address with him. So I'm going to make some notes here, and we will address those tomorrow when we talk to him. And that's a video you'll be seeing in the future. So, but in the meantime, we're going to talk about our speculations on it and what we think of the design, how it's grown on us, because this one, it was a unique one that really kind of stood out when we first saw it. And now that, we've had more chance to see it, more chance to look at it, we're excited to kind of talk about how it's grown on us or not, depending. So, yeah, and I'm sure there's questions that you guys want answered, so we'll try to get to the bottom of those.
Yeah, I really think that that at some point I should do like a supercut of all of the intros without me listening, and see what nuggets of insulting me or whatnot that you throw in.
I'm always so nice to you, Samuel.
I mean, if there's enough.
We got another super chat though.
Excellent.
Scott Withrow, $5.
Thanks.
Has anyone discussed why it has so few registry markings and the only one is on the back of the hull? I don't think that question's been addressed or answered by anyone that I've seen, but we might have the opportunity somewhat soon to get the answers to some of these questions.
I mean, it does feel intentional.
It does, absolutely.
Well, I mean, everything is intentional almost by definition, obviously, but yeah. But we do have renders today, as you guys might know, and I do have it lined up. A new intro was made, ta-da, which I will show now.
Yes.
Let's see. Just to kind of show that this isn't just about us discussing the show fully, it's also about analysing in a new way, because I do think it's fair to say that each ship, and obviously we are the ship guys, can be a whole new experience in 3D when you see it in a new way. And this is a animation I did as the new intro to some of my videos, and there's another one coming up. But instantly, as soon as you pass over the ship, it feels different. You see it in a different way. And so obviously this is like, look, we've got some 3D stuff, thanks to our great modeler Nick. We worked on that together to try and really push it to the edge. There's been a few fan models made, but I was, you know me, Stuart, I'm like, if this detail ain't right, make it right.
You'll bitch about it, yep. I mean, no, you'll
Ooh! The cat fight starts now, eh? obviously there is from the show, which we're going to need some screen caps, but there's the show version. Yeah, fair enough. But maybe we can do better, which is almost a nonsensical term. How could you do better than the show? Well, maybe because it custom angles. This is the show one, Stuart, and then this is our one in 3D with a different vibe, but also hopefully, I think you'd agree, feels about the same.
Oh, for sure.
That's my hope. And you haven't seen the other animation yet, but it's amazing how if you get like almost completely right, and then releasing orthographics obviously really helped because you can match the basic angles. It instantly is like, oh wow, this is the ship. Yeah, it's surreal but fun. Surreal and Cerritos.
Kenshi, 2K7, $5.
Thank you.
The ship is growing on me a bit, but where's main engineering? Where does the shuttle bay exit the ship? Answers are needed, LOL. And I tell you guys to stay patient. We will figure this stuff out. We're Trek Yards. That's our job. We might have something coming up that might answer some of these.
And we do need those answers. I mean, come on, ladies and gentlemen, we do need them.
Herbsta Megas throws in $2, so thank you very much, sir. Shorter, thicker nacelle struts would be better. Thicker, I don't agree with. Shorter, maybe a tad.
Less than 25% will be good.
Yes. So, yeah. No, this thing, like I said from the beginning when we first saw this, I kind of looked at it and went, you know, I like a lot of ships from FASA, and this is very similar to the Larson class and a few other ones from that, which immediately just stuck in your mind. And ever since that first look, I didn't hate it. I just thought that's interesting. And then it's just, the more I see it, the more I like it. And to see it in motion now, to see it in the show a few times, it's actually a pretty cool looking little design. Not my favorite by any means, but it's better than a lot of other ships we've seen over the years. So, you know, and we've seen a lot of ships.
And I remember at the time we both were hesitant. You were slightly more, this is weirdly proportioned, and I said very clearly at the time, yes, but there's probably a reason. I was kind of more like, we'll wait and see. And then the second time we talked about it, you were like, oh, I like it more. And I was quite surprised that you went from to and I started to kind of like, maybe. And then I stayed that way, be really kind of upped from first to second time we talked about it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's growing on me. The first time I saw it, I'm like, they really went that way, did they? And it's kind of like, but then I'm not ashamed to admit that I can change my mind on things.
As everyone should.
From initial reactions, and you know, if you go back and watch my first reaction to the ship, where it was just me,
that too,
you can see that I was very enamored with the design then. That was unique and interesting, but yeah, it's really something that I think you need to let marinate.
With Mariner, the problem is it is a flawed design. Like it feels flawed, but if you look at the Saber class, you think, huh? Or you look at the Steam Runner, it's like that pod and being flat, really? It's because it's paint scheme and detail, especially the Egos version. It's like, oh, it comes to life. But I don't think it's anyone's favourite design. Obviously, that's not to say people don't like it, but a favourite is a favourite for a reason. This ship does feel wonky, does feel out of proportion, does feel spindly, does feel, they've forgotten a ton of details. But it's also a cartoon. So that pinch of salt is heavy, and you've got to take that. And in our 3D version, we included high-res phaser strips and high-res escape pod doors because those are two things we know what they're meant to be in the miniature, and we just up their detail because, I mean, that's not a huge thing to say, oh, you know? I think that's fair. Breathe this life more. But I mean, if it was a beautiful-looking ship, it would be weird. And so it fits the show quite well. Obviously, there's a lot of function it doesn't seem to have, like torpedoes. Basic function. Shuttle bays, which are on MSD and no visible doors, and we've seen them not launch from the place that we thought they were going to launch from, so there's even more confusing. But that could just be a disconnect between MSD, creator, one hand, show, architect, other hand, and then artist who's actually animating it all, which does happen. I mean, Discovery firing torpedoes from its nacelles or Enterprise D firing phasers from its captain's yacht. These things do happen, but when the design is missing things, it's just like, where are all the things? And things like having the blinkies on the wrong... the blinkies are wrongly designed. They're not designed how you design blinkies for every other ship ever, even Discovery. So these are questions to be answered, certainly. But there's still a sense of deliberality.
Deliberateness. I don't know, what word would you put there?
That's what I said, deliberality, which kind of makes it feel the good hodgepodge. And like I say, I got some really good renders today, thanks to Nick's model and some nice lighting. So we can see it as we've not seen it before, and in HD. And in fact, the ones I sent you are beyond HD, Stuart. They're even more fancy. Yes. But let's talk to the chat for a second.
Well, we got a few things to address here real quick. Gary Davis Jr. has joined the channel at the rank of Commander. So welcome, Commander.
We get to
welcome aboard.
Work for Stuart together, the tyrantly nice man. What?
You don't work for me. Come on. Jeff Jacobs, $2. Congrats on passing 20 million views. 20 million, 10,987 views. Damn. Well, that's an achievement. That actually is an achievement.
I remember our first million, our third million, our 5 million. I think we were at 10 million too, but yeah, I have not kept track since 10 million and we doubled it. Stuart,
I heard
congratulations.
Congratulations to you too.
Yeah.
Your dad let us know about the 16 million mark, and thank you, Jeff, for pointing that out. Just haven't really been paying attention to those numbers, but thank you.
Brilliant.
Scott Withrow puts in $5. I wonder if that darts section in the back indicates the saucer could be used with a completely different star drive section, a plug and play.
Maybe.
I would say probably not.
There's... Yeah. Oh, that's tricky.
Jeff Jacobs, $2. 50 likes, 100 and 150 next. Hashtag make Jeff pay. Hashtag make Fleet Pass Swiftback pay. We have 140 of you watching, which is fantastic. So guys, hit that like button. We have 58 likes. We can easily get that up to 100 with 140 people watching. So please do that.
And Rel does a good comment. Do we ever see the phaser strips after Piers of the Defiant? No, and that was also a mistake. Like, that doesn't justify it. Otherwise, by that logic, any ship can have anything anywhere. Oh, because 2 ships didn't do it. It's like, no. You design it to have the features first, and then you don't worry about it. That's why you... I mean, because it's like Rick Sternberg. There's a small checklist of things ships needs, right? And it's not like where we have designers on and we say, so where's the Thaleron, Polaron, beam, transporter cannon? They're like, But if you say, where's torpedo tubes? They say, oh yeah, there. Because it's like one of 4 things you include, you know. This is why for Picard it was embarrassing. They had no phaser strips, no torpedo launchers, no escape pods, no blinkies, no pennants, no registries. I mean, the list of what they don't have is larger than what they have by a T.
Well, the one thing that bothers me about this design is we know it's about half the size of a Galaxy class.
I've got a scale chart. Don't worry.
I know you do. But you're showing me the ring of the ship, the lip of the saucer, and it's got what looks like 3 decks with a shit ton of windows.
Yeah.
Is it actually 3 decks? Because if it is, that kind of knocks that scale out a little bit, I think.
But
it's hard.
But they could be porthole style windows.
Those
windows are likely for cabins, and they could always be, misaligned, whatever. Because if there was 3 decks, though, then the bottom windows would be absurdly huge. That's why I was using the Enterprise D as the rough scale, because we do have big and small windows already.
Yeah.
And besides, we've also seen shuttles fly over them, so it would be hard to say they're any bigger, I mean, the NX has pretty small windows, and there's still lots of them.
That's true.
So and I think like the Oberth has some weirdly sized windows, and Miranda in the rim. Like, that's a bit of a weird size. But let's get going though with some brand new renders. So this first one, and this is more. I also want you guys specifically to interact with us and say, what do you think of the design in these different perspectives, because it will change. So when looking at it sort of flat on, what do you think of it, and what do you see, and what do you appreciate, not appreciate in this sort of view?
This is the first. I still the stream still that up. So here it looks a little awkward and kind of clunky. I really appreciate the new nacelle designs though. I like that style. It's like they didn't continue the housing around the front of the Bazaar collectors. Like that's what the internals look of most. It just wasn't, they didn't feel a need to shield it or to put the standard coverings over it. The struts look a lot better now. I remember first seeing it and they looked more straight. Here you can tell they're angled back a little bit more. And that's something I really appreciate. That's something I even said when I was doing my first reaction to it, that it would make it look a lot sleeker. And we've seen it from the side now a few times, and it definitely has that nice sleek look, which I like.
That said, though, but the struts are too thick. Or at least they're too thick in kind of a very like. Have you seen Doctor Who, the first the new season with Eccleston and Tennant?
With Eccleston, yes.
There's like his pillars, the coral pillars, kind of has that vibe. They're kind of bulky, and it's like, because if they were very smooth and then like sleeked in at the front, or had greeblies, or had windows, or had torpedo rays, like if it's something, they just feel like big blocks of metal. Whereas the rest of the ship kind of has detail. There's something lost there.
Yeah, and we kind of said that when we first saw it too. They don't have a Federation nacelle strut configuration or aesthetic at all. They seem very industrial. They seem like big I-beams. Like it was almost like a temporary fix. We kind of speculated that might be the case, but there's got to be a reason for this nacelle strut style and the new nacelles.
Well, the nacelles we've got better pictures than nacelles later on, but I do agree. I'm sure that part of the thickness is because it's been confirmed there are turbolifts in the nacelles struts. Mike Mann did say, guys, the Enterprise D has turbolifts in the struts. Look, has no one read Rick Sternbach's designs? And I was never necessarily saying they shouldn't have them, except they shouldn't have. They don't need to have them. So I'm guessing the size also to fit a full turbolift shaft, which obviously, if you're thinking a scale, that's a very exacting scale. So they have to be at least that big. And I'm pretty sure that the holes in the struts are just because the JJ Prize did it. That's very much a respect the last big ship that people like, which in itself is a darn. That said, if they were thick struts, it would even look even worse because they'd just be a big brick of metal. By removing a middle detail, you make them feel more interesting rather than just a brick.
Yeah.
So it's a win by a lose.
Yeah. Totally random reviews though. Puts in $5, so thank you very much. As I said, guys, super chats are super important lately. Revenue's kind of been down, so if you can, please do. It helps us out.
And this is a ship live stream. This is why you're here on Trackyard. So do jump in. Give us your thoughts and comments.
Yeah. Anyway, he goes on to say, I made this in 3D as well, and I scaled the Cerritos saucer windows to the Galaxy saucer windows. How did you guys do it?
Exactly the same thing. Yep. Based on that and worked out a scale. It's the only way you can do it at current.
It makes sense that they would have the same style and size windows. So there's no reason for these to be different scale. So
yeah. You can have custom small windows because they can be porthole-y stuff, but the big ones, it's trying to evoke a certain thing, and like we've said, given the amount of detail put into this ship and this show, it makes sense. Although that said, it's obviously way too many windows. But if most of it is operations and people sleeping quarters, then that's what the windows are for sleeping quarters. Like they're not there for other reasons. And obviously, the corridor. But windows
they can't have that many quarters. I'm sure it doesn't have a big crew, and as you saw, they all sleep in like a big dormitory
only the
style.
ensigns.
I know. There's a lot of ensigns on a ship.
Yeah.
That's the main bulk of your crew, generally.
Well, yeah. It would be interesting though. Obviously, not this version. This is a replica. It would be interesting to count how many saucer rim windows, because science labs don't have windows in. Like they're for quarters and but maybe bathrooms. So they're very specific in their function.
They overdid the bathroom thing because we've never seen one. I can see that being a joke.
Oh yeah, that'll be, and that's the thing. That sort of bathroom humor is fine because the bathroom itself is part of the joke.
Yes.
So my thoughts on this view, it's not a good view for the ship. It makes the engines look interesting, at least the front bits, which I still like. I wouldn't have chosen this, but it does look interesting. I was very, very specific to the modeler to get the engine fronts incredibly high detail, and I think you can kind of feel how like rich they are. Because most people like just ignore them and have just a tube. We went all in on those. But I think the saucer certainly doesn't look good. It looks too flat. It's missing the secondary hull. But it's not a bad view. It's just not one of its best. But by definition, they can't all be one of their best. The next view, though, I think really does it well. This is one of my favourite views. It still feels a bit lacking. But the dimensionality feels good. And just for those technical people, I'm at 24mm lens, classic 3D lens. So that's the sort of distortion you're going to get. What do you think on this one?
This one, there's just the back of the saucer bugs me a little bit. There's not enough detail there. There's too many windows. There's not. Where's the impulse engines? I see them there, but they should be bigger in my opinion. Like I would have designed the back of this totally differently.
Well, we did for Barry's version. They're much larger.
Yeah, exactly. It just seems like there's something missing. Like from the saucer, where the saucer connects to the struts up, looks wrong from this view. The nacelles look great. That pod in the middle looks fantastic. This looks like something we'd see, from a Trek Yards Originals episode where we have to talk about it.
Yes, it does.
But the saucer just seems like it's from a different ship. It seems kind of disconnected from the rest of what we're seeing here.
I think also part of the problem is that the windows continue. There shouldn't be windows on those thick black bits.
Yeah.
They don't look good, and I definitely would not have had all the windows on the back of the saucer. Like, give that functional space. And we'll see impulse engines later, I agree. Hey, TOS Colony small impulse engines, that's fine. The size themselves is not a problem, and obviously look at the Intrepid, they're tiny in the nacelles, in the pylons. But for proportion-wise, they definitely should be bigger, and I would definitely have had them more in the saucer, or have the big shuttle bay there. Like, it's missing something for sure. And it does look more cartoony by having all the windows, because they just pop so much. There's so much pop, and I thought this version had some of them off, but that's actually my window pass, so some are obviously meant to be off, etc., but not that many.
Mm-hmm. I just wish there were larger impulse engines at the back and a shuttle bay taking up the middle part of that rear of the saucer.
There's space for it. It's right there. It's absolutely right, and especially since, if you imagine if that was the shuttle bay, and then each of the two black pods was the umbilical, then you've got direct cargo umbilical, which then goes into the shuttle bay, which then can be launched and not launched. That's a beautiful little control bit. That would be, there's really a lack of form follows function in terms of the extra stuff. Like I said, there's no off torpedoes anywhere. There's so many things it's missing. Less than the Discovery ships or the Picard ships. But what do you guys think? What are people saying?
Well, Gary Davis Jr. puts in $5, so I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm loving all the references and Easter eggs. Chief O'Brien was cool, but he was no Montgomery Scott. Yet he was in an episode talking all about Montgomery Scott's, multiply your repair estimates by a factor of 4 type of deal. But yes, I still love that they mentioned them.
Yeah. Tapper John says, the ship would grow on people faster if they would show it more. They all got it right. I think they show it a ton, actually, more than I was expecting each episode.
Yes. Yeah, same here. And we're getting the classic, captain's log or, number one or commander's log as they're in warp. We get the beauty passes. We get some nice stuff, especially in the intro. You see a lot of nice shots of the ship, and they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to make that intro that long. A lot of show intros these days are like 15 seconds kind of thing. That still follows the Star Trek tradition.
That's the important thing, yeah. But also, it's a 26-minute show, so let's just bug a minute of titles, because otherwise it'll be a longer show then, I agree. I had a point there. But I do think, though, you can start, and while getting reference pictures to this episode, they are sticking to certain angles. Just like with other, obviously, it's a little bit different with TOS, Next Generation, Voyager, and even Deep Space Nine. They were the same stock shots because they spent hundreds of thousands to film the ship from some angles. Yeah. So it's a bit of an odd statement to say they're picking the same angles, given that was the conceit. But if I was redoing Voyager, for example, I would and tell me if you think I'm out of line, I would actively make maybe 30 Voyager exterior shots from a billion angles and replace them throughout the seasons, so you don't see, especially the couple of episodes, they each have the same exterior 5 minutes apart. I don't know if that sounds like changing stuff, but how do you feel about that?
I would be totally fine with that. And that's one of the things about the remastered TOS that kind of bugged me for the first few episodes is they literally, like, Miri is awful. The remastered Miri episode, the effects are awful, the shots are awful. I don't know why they did that. Later, as they went through the other seasons, they varied up the shots a little bit and didn't make them exactly like they were in the original series, which they wanted to, those special effects guys did that, and you got to honor what they did and have appreciation for that. But at the same time, with the technology we have, yes, by all means, show us different shots of the ship. And TOS Remastered did that quite a bit. There's some nice shots of the Enterprise, like close-ups where it goes by and stuff, that are just much appreciated by someone like me. But you can tell by the first few episodes in season 1, they tried to stick to the original shots that they had to kind of, as a homage to the people that created those originally, because you don't want to erase that history.
Especially as every version now sold is the remastered. You can't get the classics anymore. So obviously that is the version.
Well, yeah. Most of them have both options, though. You can
Blu-rays do, but streaming services don't. I mean, you can't on Netflix.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, streaming services. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What do you guys think of this angle? Because I want to know. Sound off in the comments. Do you like this angle? Does it work for you? Because for me, I think this works one of its better angles, except for the saucer. But the saucer is a point of not greatness for quite a few angles, and therefore that makes sense. It would continue. But yes, I mean, this is the back issue of a ton of cool things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even that center pod. We still have questions about that center pod. Yep. I would love to have seen a shuttle bay in there or something.
But we know it's in the bloody saucer, even though there's no doors. I think there was a disconnect between the MSD and the main show, just given the engine room that could be in the pod does not reflect what's in the MSD, and obviously the shuttle bays are no visible doors, and we've now seen it not be launched from the doors that they say. So the hints that are there, and I mean, come on, same with Discovery season 2. They say and show two opposite things with the crew. Well, what do you trust, the visual or the audio? They're both in the same episode. They're both wrong, basically, because what? So, it's hard to do. But Stuart, as we do in Tracheos normally, we got scale, and we tend to look at a little bit before scale. So are you guys ready for scale? Sound off in the comments. Yes, no, or TNG review, please, instead. I don't know. Let us know. And if you want to super chat yes, then you're the one that got the scale charts. If you super chat yes.
The scale charts are worth it, guys, trust me. Jamal Taylor, though, I think there's torpedoes in that pod.
Not in the MSD and no doors, and you know what torpedo tubes look like. I mean, but also, would that make sense to have torpedoes next to the warp core? And if you did, you'd only have a few.
And Devo 77X says shuttle bays are those rectangles on those shaded areas. What?
But shuttles don't come from them, though. We've seen that.
We've seen them launch. We've seen them land. We've seen the umbilicals plugged in there on the first episode.
Yes.
So
there's evidence to yes, evidence to no.
Yes.
And they also don't fit the MSD either. So.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Scott Withrow throws in $2 and says yes, even though a lot of other people are saying yes as well. But Scott, thank you very much.
It is because of Scott. I mean, no other reason. So yeah, here we go. So this is obviously my conceptual scale, but I did the logic based on Windows and such, and this is what I used. I did this a little while ago, so I can't remember exactly how I did it, but I know I did it at some point because I did the light rig. So this is what I was. No, I remember what I did. It wasn't the Windows scale. Sorry, I'm confused. How I scaled this. Sorry, I remembered now. I took the MSD for the Cerritos, the MSD for the Enterprise D, and I lined up the deck size. Because deck size is a same scale, has been for all the ships. Deck height does not change. It's the deck height. And so that was important because we never had the exact deck things before. And for the most part, they lined up with a slight discrepancy, as you can imagine, because, things, whatever. But this is the deck height scale. that's that disclaimer, but I think it's actually quite a good one. So it's still comparative. I would guess it's pretty much this, unless the deck sizes are wrong, but then why would they be... there, deck height. And for clarity again, Enterprise D from these are the Voyagers, Enterprise from Imperial Darkly, so these are both the canon scales, and the Defiant, as used in DS9, the default CG scale used in every single shot pretty much. If you see the Defiant any shot, this is what it's scaled at. Don't listen to 125 or 175, that's not what they use in the show. This is what they use in the show, and visual canon is surely the canon. So that's the Defiant size, bitch. And also you can dock it with the DS9 and it perfectly fits. So come on.
He's got the models, so he knows.
I'll fight you on that.
Ozzy Medeiros throws in $5. Yes, buffer time. Okie dokie. Skeleton.
Just keep adding more. Just keep adding more. I want to see that bar be more and more filled with things.
Catchphrases. It's sleek. Rad. Buffer time.
Those are my ones. No, he's got his own ones. So yeah, Stuart, what do you think? I mean, this is vaguely what we had last. I think I made it a bit smaller because I guess the deck's height. What do you think?
This is kind of what I perceive in my brain as it to be. Somebody had mentioned in the chat there that they expected more of the size of the Ambassador class, the Enterprise C, which is kind of was my first thought when I first saw the ship. Based on the saucer being round, it looks similar to, it could be like the size of the Enterprise C. This, though, I think is more accurate.
The Ambassador is real big. It's not that much smaller than the ED.
Yeah. We still don't know a crew complement in this thing. We thought we almost had it once. And 105% casualties.
I know. And I was damn. Like, ooh, only one if that would have been a whole discussion on Trackyards. And just to clarify again, Windows scale, whatever it says on the outside, this is MSD scale. This is what they're saying their deck height is. So that conforms to window height. So we can look at that in a minute and see how that lines up, because that is what they're telling us, etc., etc. But I mean, it is a low tier. It's not even a support ship. That would be an Akira Steamrunner. Those are the support ships. It's not even a survey craft. Second contact. We know this area is peaceful. We know you're not going to get attacked. We've made the contact. Even though they did just get attacked. They weren't meant to, though. It's lack of weapons, and we'll look at phaser strips in a minute. It's lacking weapons quite a lot, especially for the era. I mean, the E has phaser strips all over the place. This has 2. And one has a bad firing arc. But it putting the Connie there is a bit of a weird one because it's such a long time away. You make it think it's bigger, but actually in the era it's like a solid medium,
Yeah.
But also shows how effective a Connie can be at that much smaller, and yet look what it can do,
And Dominic Wall says, "What is it with the no neck design?" It's kind of become a trope to merge, even the Enterprise E does it, where there's really no neck. And I think that's based on a lot of complaints from people that say the neck is a weak spot. They exploited it in Beyond as a result of people having said that. And yeah, the Defiant doesn't have one because it's a battleship, it's a warship. So a weak spot, and plus not a lot of room in there anyway. I believe it was Eric Henry that somebody did a compare. Maybe it wasn't Eric Henry. Maybe it was Junkball Media. It was Junkball Media about the size of the neck on the original Connie. How it's like the size of a car as far as, and it's like what would fit in there. And yeah, so I think there's a lot of tropes about that they just, for more robust ships, they just said screw it, we're not going to put a neck on it. So.
Well, it's also John Eves and Rick independently designed their ships, both without necks. So that was where those two legendary designers, John wasn't legendary at the time, but he became legendary. They both went that way, and if you look at the two, before obviously Discovery and Picard, there was a certain lineage of design. Both of those screwed that into their own thing, and obviously necks were going on Prometheus and Equinox. All of these ships, all the future ships before those other shows ruined it, had an evolution. So obviously you're going to see the primary hefty roll ships losing the neck. Obviously Cerritos' case, it literally just lost the neck. Kept everything else.
Yeah.
Actually has more pylons than the bloody Enterprise. There's 4 pylons, so it's more dead. But it lost the neck. It's interesting to see it next to the Defiant, though, because you associate the Defiant with such a heavy duty of tech. But it's obviously smaller, but in terms of saucer size, I'm sure the side view will be quite interesting. It is like, it's not as big as you think. But it is, though.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'll get to the super chats in a second. I just want to address one other one. Matt John 02. It says there are at least 24 decks. Are they all located in the pylons?
That's true.
Where does it say there's at least 24 decks, though?
I mean, there was the joke about 26, if they have 26. I'm sure you can count the MSD. You know what? I'm going to go count the MSD.
Do that. Because, yeah, the 26, deck 26 thing, they don't have 26 decks, but neither did the Enterprise. Yeah.
It was a very deep reference.
It was referring to, that line in First Contact, so... Fleet Paw Swiftback, though, $2. I call it Constellation class sized.
Yeah, actually, not too far off.
Yeah.
All right, let's have a look then. I can't exactly see how many are in the pod, but we'll go to that in a minute. So.
Oh, he's counting.
So there's 11 decks in the saucer. Mm-hmm. Only 11, and at least 3. But I would guess, knowing the dimension of the ship, 4 in the pod. The pylons are, who's to say? And in fact, there's more cutouts. It looked like there's internal cutouts in the. There's no livable space in it. It's just a single turbolift and then some tech. So 11 plus 5, so it's probably 16 decks, 17.
At the most, yeah. Mm. Dave Stelzer, $2. The complement is made up of 90% kindergartners. And pre-K.
Although Tenzingari has an interesting, I'd like to hear your thought. I like the idea of the Californian class is older than the Ambassador, and the Cerritos is probably very old, with lots of upgrades. Older than Ambassador. What do you think?
That might explain the nacelles, honestly. I'd buy that, although when I first saw it, I definitely thought it was after the Enterprise C, before or around the Enterprise D build era. Like, it was already a built, established ship by the time they started building the Galaxy class. The Galaxy class was that next step of tech. So, I mean, it could be around that time. It's got the round saucer, much like the Ambassador class. They hadn't moved away from different either arrowhead points or arrowhead shaped or more oval like the Galaxy class. So yeah, I would totally buy it. It's from the Ambassador era, but I think it's a little bit after. I think it's somewhere between.
Yeah, I would. My gut says no on that, just because the source is so different. But then again, look at Sabre, Norway, Steamrunner, Voyager, all in the same 10 years. There's no parallel saucer development there. It's hard to say. I mean, everything about it is also cartoon. That pinch of salt. I mean, the bridge I could see being an older Enterprise D, like they're moving towards. In those weird side ages. But I think at a certain point though, if you've also been refit, whatever, these ships could be in service for so long. Like, we never really saw the inside of Miranda after the fact. I mean, if they had more budget and if they'd picked like let's see a Dominion War Miranda, we're interested to see how different it was, like how the refitting it really like modified and changed and almost like barbarized the different details. So it'd be fun to ask them when do you think it was built, but I would say pre-D, post-A, post-C.
Yes. Devo 77XS, is it bigger than a Miranda? Yes.
Yes. Although if you think about internal volume, maybe not. Although yes, 11 decks would be. Just quite
Squadra course though, $2.
Thank you.
Looks right for MSD. What's the Defiance length shown here?
150 meters.
There you go. As long as the Intrepid class, but thicker, ? Says DO77. Mark Sakowicz. I totally think it's recycled and reused parts from multiple ships, just like a Jaeger class. I could get behind that as well. It does look like it could be kind of a cobbled together ship.
But I do not imagine that's the intention of the guy that designed it and the showrunner.
I don't think so either.
Like we can extrapolate to a certain extent, but if we're adding like, say, oh, it's a kit bash of 9 ships, and they're like, no, we designed it. It's a ship, and they're like, so I think that's definitely, they would not intend that, you know. But let's look, Stuart, at the side view, and yes, live Trek Yardsing here as, what do you always say when we look at side?
It always changes the feel of things.
There you go.
You get a feel for it when you look at it from the top and you go to the side and it's like, wow, damn. It's either bigger or smaller than you anticipate. Yes. So here it's a little bit bigger than I anticipate.
How often do I hear that for a side view?
Quite often, probably.
Yes. And this is again Trek Yards exclusive. Have you ever seen this ship as a side view, guys? I doubt it, apart from MSD. And this is why we pride ourselves. And we're live.
Opening intro, the opening titles.
But I mean, side scale, Stuart. Side scale.
Oh, okay. Well, scale to a monster.
It was, yes.
Scott.
So that monster is pretty big then. That monster might have been the size of the Connie, almost.
Yeah. Scott Withrow, though, $5. Do you guys assume that Starfleet designs and builds all its own ships? Ooh. If Cerritos was designed by a third party, it might explain some inconsistencies. I think for the main fleet, yes, they do have their own design. Well, they have Utopia Planitia. They have their own design aesthetics, their styles. Yes. It does feel like it's a little bit different and could be third party, but
I mean, there is a Starfleet design bureau that builds ships for Starfleet. Long gone are the days where the Andorians build their own ships, etc., etc. Now, while you'll have Andorians helping Tellarites, helping Vulcans, helping humans design a ship, they're all as a team. Therefore, no one influence will take over. So, no, I would say it's definitely it is a Starfleet ship. It might be, you know, the engineering branch or the exploit or the first contact branch. They designed it custom, etc., etc. But no, it's definitely a Starfleet. It's, you know, unlike Picard's ship, which is Federation, not Starfleet, still recognizable. You know.
Jamal makes a good point too. Where is it here? The nacelles are awkwardly long. It works for this ship, but too long for any other ship. I mean, it does work for this design 100%. I can see why you're saying that they're too long for other ships. But then, I mean, look at the recent ships we've got. We've got the Discovery as well with the super long, thin nacelles. This one actually feels right proportionally. But yeah, I can see why you'd say they're long, especially compared to the Galaxy's nacelles there. But I really appreciate the nacelle design. It definitely is something unique and needs explanation, in my opinion. It's almost like they're unfinished nacelles, like the front housing isn't completed yet.
I mean, they've certainly got character. Not to say the character's good or bad. It's tricky. Like I said, it's not a good looking ship, but there's a sense of, okay, there's something there, you know. And there's definitely, I mean, like there's definitely a lot of character with the nacelles. I mean, they're clearly not of the era, of the new, of the modern, of the advanced. None of that. So what are they? Maybe they're a purely failed concept. You know, maybe they are what budget Poundland nacelles are, or dollar store nacelles are. You know, if they only have 4 weeks. Well, to be fair, because money isn't the thing. But if they only had if you say to the designer at Planitia, okay, you have 4 weeks to build this nacelle, maybe this is the sort of thing they do. It's not so much resources; it's how to just quickly get one out, and therefore create a new thing.
Jamal says the Discovery nacelles are a joke. These are unique but interesting in a good way. Yes. Gary Davis Jr., though, throws in $5, so thank you very much. Right. The saucer looks approximately the same size as an Excelsior class. Probably around the same. Actually, the saucer might be a little bit bigger than the Excelsior class. You'd have to check with Samuel on that one. But Jeff Jacobs, $2. 100 likes on to 200. Love these comparison shots. Well, thank you, Jeff. And thank you to all you guys. 178 of you here, which is fantastic. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit that like button. We have 103 likes with 180 people here. We can definitely get those up to a good 120 very simply. So just hit that like button if you haven't already. Remember the saying, if it is not blue, you did not do. So.
And if you have not do, you maybe need to poo.
Or do while you poo. Hit like while you're on the toilet, because most people watch stuff this one out on the toilet.
Take a poo break. Like us on YouTube.
Yes. So anyway, going back to the saucer size thing, is it about the same size as an Excelsior class saucer from the top? I think it's probably a little bit bigger than an Excelsior would be my thinking.
Yes. It's between Excelsior and Ambassador. Now, I do want to clarify that this is not a quick render, this took a while to render, but we are going to do a follow-up with more ships, because otherwise, why would you watch that? So we'll do a more, like, where would it fit in scale-wise to the fleet, because I think that'll be interesting, like, what source is it more comparative to? This is more just like a good sense of, the ship you will associate with, how much tech do you factor in the define, and then the most classic. Hence why these 3 ships were picked. But we're going to do another one where we look at really like, oh my god, it's just this thing. Yeah. Etc. Etc.
And Lega has won. Legativus. Well, anyway, £5. We appreciate that. Thank you. Congratulations to my son. Oh my god, it's your dad. My son Samuel, and to his co-host and friend Stuart of Trek Yards for reaching 20 million YouTube views. Well, thank you very much, sir. Is that what is his screen username, Samuel?
Legatus. It's a Roman.
Legatus. That's all right. I apologize.
I was thinking Legolas there. I had to think for a second. It's not Legolas.
Oh.
Yeah.
So yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, 20 million. It's a thing.
We get $1 for every view we've had.
That would have been nice. That would have been I mean, don't know why they can't do that. Well, I know why.
Yeah.
But yeah, side view. I really wasn't even thinking about it. So side view, yes. Do the nacelles feel too long? I'm sorry the E isn't here because that's a long nacelle ship. But the Connie's a good example. What do you think? Are the nacelles too long?
Nope. Like we kind of, like Jamal even said, for this ship it works. But when you compare it to the other ships in the size comparison, it's like, goddamn, those are long nacelles. Like they stand out and they look like they're long nacelles. But with the way the ship is designed, especially the angle of the struts and stuff, it really works for this design. And they don't taper like they do on the Discovery, so they don't have that going against them to make them exaggerate the length. They actually look like functional, sturdy, good nacelles. So yeah, I don't think they're too long at all. Now we just need to convert them and put them on like a Galaxy class. Throw them on some other ships, see how they look. This stud on nacelle. I think that'd be kind of cool. Fleetbot Swiftback throws in $2. Hit that 100. Hell yeah. Onward. Awesome. We have 126 now likes. We did hit 120 that I challenge you guys to. 170 of you here. We can get 150.
Oh, at least.
Might be asking too much, but I'm trying to,
I mean, our audience is pretty amazing, and so I want to see. I want to see that amazing. So for me, the nacelles. I mean, it's more because they're doing weird things with them than the size, right? So the outer back, there's a bit of extra, which has not been a thing for a long old time for nacelles. The front has the forward bastards and then a secondary slit, which extends the look for apparently a weird reason. Then you've got, again, big chunk of hull, which I would have liked to have seen even just a slightly internal, orange rim, like the D, like the E, etc. Like that would have been easy to put there. Mm-hmm. And that might break up the shapes more. I would probably still have maybe shrunk them 10%. Like, you're not talking a lot. Like, just a little bit off. Little bit. But that's also just the saucer's lacking a saucer. As in the saucer is lacking anything else. So it's more just an oddly proportioned thing. But it does grow on you. Unlike the Discovery, where it's just
ridiculous.
You just know. You just know it doesn't work. And you look at Shinjo, it's like, yeah, side view's okay.
Yeah.
The saucer does, again, the amount of windows, especially compared to the windows on the D, it's just like, why?
Yeah.
Why? But, I mean, the neck windows, I mean, if you make them a little bit less tall, maybe, but yeah, I don't know. But to think they're the same deck size, it's like, really? It's like, yeah. But obviously, on a luxury liner, you'll have bigger windows because you want that more luxury feel. On a shittier ship, you can have. I mean, we even look at the Connie. The windows are much less. They're more long than tall.
Yeah.
So there is obviously wiggle room here, and if the ship isn't focused, well, we can see the ship is not focused on comfort.
Squadron course $2. Maybe it's
Thank
like
you.
World War II Liberty ships, fast to build.
Yeah, the ship feels fast to build. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. Ryan Hannigan, $5. Has anyone said it kind of looks like an ambassador class saucer? Yes, this was discussed a little while ago. But yeah, we kind of established it was in a time frame after the ambassador class, but before the Galaxy. So
at least the saucer.
It's a lost era.
The Nacelles is probably a fresh build, but using old knowledge. Like, well, we're not trying to push forward. This is just basic, basic bitch stuff.
Cal Drive Radlarak, sure, $5.
Thank you.
Would love scale charts. Honestly, I would love to see a human standing on the hull so I can get a real sense of scale to these ships.
Well, you did see that in Lower Decks, but they were zoomed in.
It's true. We saw it in 2 episodes, actually.
Yeah, we'll have to do that at some point. But that's, again, a problem. If you put a human scale next to these windows, unlike other shows where it's designed to look photoreal, it's like, yeah, but it's a cartoon,
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to represent sometimes.
And Scott Withrow, $2.
Thank you.
Less efficient coils, maybe. Maybe they need more per nacelle. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. There's definitely reasons. It's just so different. Although I do think, especially considering, everything from the Excelsior onwards, having them be blocky nacelles, like the Federation can build curved nacelles easy. They should be curvier. Having them be that blocky is such a sign of what? Of what? I don't know.
Yeah. Justin Cans, though, says, has anyone tried flipping the ship upside down? I actually tried that when I was doing my first talk about it, way back when we first saw it, and it looks way different from being upside down. It actually is a very cool design. Looks a lot more interesting, in my opinion, when it's upside down with the nacelles on top. But yeah, I did try that when I did my first look at it. So, see, maybe the smaller windows is where the cetacean sort of can live. There you go. Maybe they have the whole outer ring of the ship, those 3 decks. It's all just a big boil tank. I'd buy that for $1.
But you wouldn't bet $2 on it because that would be silly.
Right.
And I think we might have to do a special treat. If we can get a certain level of super chats in a little bit, I'll actually bring up the model in 3D.
That'd be cool.
But that we'll need to jump our super chats up for that. But then that we'll get there in a minute. I'll set a goal, and I can see the goal now. And then if I bring up in 3D, maybe you can ask for custom things next to it. This is a live Trek Yards show, which we don't often do for ships. So there's a bit of fun here to be had. And super chats help us support the channel. And obviously you guys, no one in the world is really doing this to see the scale of the ship. And if you love the ship, what a cool, exciting thing. And I know if I was a fan, Stuart, and I was watching people like this, I would say, "Oh, here's $5. Put it next to the Daedalus from Stargate. Because why the hell not?" Etc. Etc. That's what I would do with my time.
Nerd.
But what's funny, the nacelle struts don't look too bad on this view. It's just the other views. They don't look too long in proportion.
Yeah.
But it's in the other views. Because like you look at the Connie, look at the D, they're obviously bigger. Oh.
Speaking of other views, I mean, if you go to the next
Oh,
picture, we got kind of a shot of it from underneath,
yes.
and these nacelles don't really do it for me. These seem more like shuttle nacelles. Like,
Yes. Yep.
put a shuttle body on top of that, the way they're angled at the back, cool. Um, for a ship, though, this is where it kind of doesn't work for me. Also, the underside of that pod having like no real details on it
And
is a little bit,
just a yellow layer.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
okay.
that's a little bit, yeah.
It's weird
And also
because
the front of the nacelles here too, just doesn't look right,
I
you know.
like the idea of them, but they should all be more overly. And having the end of the nacelles just be flat with a cutout with a little glow is like, but why?
Because it's easy to animate.
It is. I mean, what do you think about having blue glows on the top and the bottom and the left and the right? Wait, what?
It's a little overkill. And
It's over.
again, unfortunately, it kind of reminds me of a lot of fan design ships I've seen over the years, where it's kind of
Don't
like,
say Horizon. Don't say Horizon.
no, no, just going for flashiness over functionality. It just seems like not their thinking wasn't in that practical space. It was just for that'll look cool. Let's do that.
Which
Well,
it
what's the purpose for it?
does conceptually look cool.
Yes, yes.
Maybe their warp coils are actually square, which is why they have them. Because obviously, in an oval, the sides are where the important bits are. But if it's a square, then any four sides.
I again, I'd buy that for $1.
I mean, yeah, it does just definitely just does feel like it's just to allow for different angles to have the glow. Although, hey, better to although you know what this is doing? It's overcompensating. The less arena has no warp glows. This one has two pairs too many.
Maybe that's why they're like they're not getting their glows from Picard. We got to ramp this
Just
up.
gonna inject them with double here, yeah. Yeah.
Um, Ozzy Maderos, five
Hey.
dollars. What is the maximum warp speed of the ship? Okie dokie. Skeleton. Skeleton hands.
What's your gut reaction there, Stuart?
Uh, warp mm, maximum speed. It's going to be something stupid like warp 8.9 or something. Like not quite up there, you know. That's kind of my gut reaction.
8.9 with like emergency is 9, and they're just like, but we can get that at 0.1. Yeah, I would. Cruising speed is probably like warp 5. A bit lower, and yeah, I would probably say max is 8. I wouldn't even necessarily want to give them a 9 because you wouldn't need it. You just wouldn't need it. And I don't think the power conduits are going to be anywhere near as efficient. I mean, look at how if the warp core is in the pod, those power conduits have got to go through 2 different sets of pylons to get to anything. I mean, it's a very inefficient way of doing the power. So I don't think they have the same strain as. I mean, these are kind of nonsense things I'm saying, but it's the furthest to go. So I think the ship doesn't push any barriers for weapons, for shields. It is
Well,
not, you know,
and that's the other question people have is where is the engine room? Is it in the pod, or is the main engine room in this like near the center of the saucer, near those struts?
neither. If you go by the MSD.
And Squadra course though, $2 for the 3D view. Also, nacelles can be too curvy. Can
Yes.
be too.
Yeah, and I'm glad these aren't just rectangles because that'd been even easier to animate. So they dodged that bullet, and you could have argued motion picture, but definitely needed more. And this one obviously hides the fact there's no neck. Still kind of like there could be a neck here. There obviously isn't, but they could. Haha.
Mm-hmm.
No, and we can see that is there a vendor of the drop bays? No, so I'll bring it up now. Some people have said that those cutouts are drop bays, which is an okay concept, although we've seen the shuttle bay launch straight. Now, yes, it could be tilted this way, but then they're building things on a wrong axis, which is they could do it, but why would they do that? And yet shuttles seem to come from potentially there. Oh, I thought there were windows in those bays, from what I recall. No, there aren't. Oh, there aren't. Okay. But there aren't doors. So, but there aren't doors anywhere anyway. So it's kind of hard
Captain
to say.
Captain Spire says, "Man, you guys are really, really reaching to find something you like about this." No, I actually liked the design. So
yeah, I mean, the fact that we're actually treating it like a real design shows the credit to its real design. You know, look at
this has got a lot more look than the La Serena did for Picard, which we didn't like.
Well, that one we had to give up on. Basically, it's just like, well, it has none of the things you need. So okay, whatever. It does its thing. It looks not good, but fine, meh. But Stuart, let's go to the top view. Very much reminds me of the Chariot class, but we do get to see the details on the top of the saucer, which we've kind of not really seen. And you can hopefully appreciate my enhancements, the phaser strips and the escape pod doors. They don't necessarily improve it a ton, but any little bit of detail I think adds. I think brain sees it if you don't. What do you think? Now you're seeing it as what they do not intend you to see. All of these angles.
Think you've been watching too much Mr. Plinkett.
Okay.
Before we get into, because he always says, "You didn't see it, but your brain did."
It's true that's a very filmmaking thing to say.
Yeah. Before we answer your question, though, I'm going to get the last super chat. Judge 1981 throws in $5, so thank you very much. Good to see you again. This isn't a slight against the ship, but I get the feeling this is an eco ship. You know, not top of the line, but not a freighter. Yeah, yes. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
And Jamal Taylor $5 for the 3D view, and Cerritos and Nebula.
Well, we'll get there in a couple of minutes. Still got some more stuff, and that'll be a fun way to kind of do the last bit. But yeah, that'd be interesting to see the Nebula as well.
What did you ask me about the top again? Sorry.
Oh yeah, I mean, what do you think? Kind of feels like Chariot class a bit, but now you're seeing it as they did not intend you to see, because obviously these are views that they've not shown us in this sort of static way.
It kind of opens up questions, of course, about the registry. There's obviously a bridge window, which...
Unless it's a reference to the Connie Cage version, which was retconned out as being the sensor light.
Well, it's like a sensor.
Hell of a reference.
Sweet palette, yeah. Also, the little indentations on the side of the bridge area there with the smaller windows seem odd. I kind of like the raised parts on the saucer, though. Not sure exactly what those would be for, like on the side, but... You know, maybe put a torpedo tube.
I was about to say, I mean, they would...
Basic fore and aft.
I'm not going to say they'd make sense as torpedo tubes, but they're a better place to put them in some places.
Yeah.
And you can imagine they're very much like attached pods, and you can even go as far as to say they were like magazine clips. They're totally insular modules that you just install, and you've got like 25 torpedoes in each, and you know you've got your stock, and then because I mean, these things go out to Starbase all the time. You can kind of tell because they're supplying, resupplying. You know, they're not going to get the or even from other spaceships. You know, they're not going to get that tree and crystal until they restock somewhere, and those are the missions. So I can imagine that, you know, and that'd be kind of fun to say we only have 50 photon torpedoes. We like limitations, especially very organic ones, in terms of like where we haven't got space. Let's add them on top. But those would be obvious details to add, and it's kind of weird they don't, because they almost feel like handholds. Like if you put like little bars, like, you know, there's no precedent for them. There's nothing. They're not. It's not even like they go faster wingtip or go faster. What would you call them? Fins of the Shinzo.
Yeah.
It's like, look, we've got fins. 'Cause shut up. But I do think.
Well, the yellow stripe is a racing stripe. That makes it go faster automatically.
I gotta say that stripe is growing on me though. I have nothing bad to say about the stripe anymore.
Neither do I, except it's missing a registry number at the front.
That's the big issue because it looks kind of dead as a saucer without the registry.
It looks unfinished.
Yes,
looks like they just said, "There you go," and this is it. Okay, let's go. Yeah,
I don't think there's a reason for it. I can't picture a reason.
Well, we can maybe ask somebody soon about that.
I know the joke was because they don't need it on the front because they're always running away from people, so it's only useful at the back. I get that, but they would only work if in the show you saw them often running away from trouble. They've not done that. They've been pretty good so far.
And the next thing I was going to talk about just got addressed in a super chat. Squadron course, $2. What the heck is up with the running lights? Yeah, I mean,
Ugh.
it's Star Trek. You got red on one side, green on the other. It's how it works. Here we got multiples, and all green on the nacelles, I believe, right?
All green on the nacelles.
Yeah.
And these are things that I'd be tempted to change because they'd be like quick changes, but nope, you got to do it. And I did a double take. I was like, oh, I've got to make them all. Oh, that's wrong. Because it's not as you can't cause gatekeepers when there are details that are just wrong. Now there might be a reason for the wrongness. Maybe the ship is justifying these. Well, see, it'd be fine if those indents were landing bays, and if we had red and green for each bay. It's weird. I could buy.
No, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Even my Horizon has blinkies like outside the bay. There just happens to be a good place to put them, but like, there you go, left and right. But to have left, right, the ship is totally useless for blinkies. I mean, absolutely useless. It's beyond useless. I think you said previously, it's as if someone looked at the design and said, "Oh, it's got flashing lights. Let's put them on a ship." Didn't understand there's actually a purpose for them, which is the opposite of what Matt Jeffries did, which is everything has a purpose because purpose comes first. Oh, we need something. Oh,
it's like planes and boats. They have them on the certain sides so that in fog or bad conditions, you can see what side of the ship you're looking at. So they're important to have right. Judge 1981, $2. The yellow stripe adds at least 0.5 more warp.
Oh yeah,
Easily.
It's a special warp paint.
Yeah.
And yeah, I do get the sense though and you called it out with the indents in the bridge dome. Well, it's not a bridge dome. The first 3 decks. I mean, there's no bridge dome. The first 3 decks.
The BC deck.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Same with these source ones. I get the impression someone was just playing with Photoshop or a 3D modeling program as they would design the ship, and they just did that and
they just shrunk it and shrunk the windows with it.
Well, yeah, that. But it was purely like, what can I do to a saucer that's different? And they did something, and then they never asked why or how. They're just things to do different. Which in itself is not hard. But it's like the whole out next to the less arena. No, before I slip. The hole outside the registry at the back. Why is there a hole with windows facing each other? I mean, if these are all these are the crew quarters, it's like, oh, hey, Lieutenant Sally, on the other side of the big gaping hole, like I can see you. It's like, what?
And that thing initially I thought could have been the shuttle bay.
Yep.
You have them come in like on Deep Space Nine, where they land on the pads and then go down, and then you got the big door facing forward.
It's weird, but
they can go through. Yeah, but apparently that's not the case.
We keep seeing them launching from a very standard bay without a very standard location. Just the whole back should have been a shuttle big bay door. Should have been. Gosh.
Judge 1981, $5. Landing bays, yeah, but huge, large, wrong place lights wouldn't happen on a
Foley.
Let's put Foley class.
Yeah.
Thank you, Judge.
And Thomas says, I'm disliking the ship the longer this live goes on. It's the details more than the overall design. Some of the details, but also some of the things that get truly right. It's a weird one.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird one. But hey, it's better than Discovery and better than Cerritos. It's just also weird.
Serena.
I really combined them, didn't I?
You did.
That's not a bad name, Les Cerritos.
And my brain hurt.
It's not a bad name. Or Cerritos.
Las Cerritos. Anyway.
Next view from the bottom, very classic shot.
Yep.
And you see everything. Just like Patrick Stewart in Extras, I see everything.
Again, no lower, planetary sensor dome, no detail in that regard, no lower registry numbers on the sides, like in the Constitution class, or on the front, like every other ship. It's just, but we got escape pods. They added escape pods, thank God.
Did they? Okay, yes. Now I'm not sure.
Well, the 3D model
Okay,
that
yes,
made
so
this.
so they are on the bottom in this one, but then they're in the bottom view. They're so faint you can barely see them.
Mhm.
But in a side view, you can see they indent more. So I think Nick pushed them out slightly further because it made more sense to.
Oh,
Also, it's the
and
lighting. I mean,
and Scott Withrow makes a good point. Escape pods would be a good scale comparison point.
yes and no. I mean, Voyager to E to D, they're all different. Like they get smaller for the Voyager to D.
Yes, like the Enterprise D had like 8-man ones, and then there's
Yeah.
smaller ones. We've done an episode on Life Pod.
It's a good episode. And obviously, look, NX-01. Do we want to scale to the NX-01 escape pod? Ha! 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 And if the ship's old, then yeah. But these are the Enterprise D escape pod hatches because they're about the same. What confuses me, there is a phaser strip where we've got it here.
Hmm.
Why is it all the way in there?
Is it a phaser strip though, or is it just a detail that they added?
It's the same color as the top phaser strip, so yes, it's the same color.
You'd think you'd put it closer to the edge of the saucer,
yep.
yeah.
You would think so.
Like between the escape pods and that row of windows. It's a perfect place for one.
And hey, have some, low slung torpedo launchers sticking out of those. Then you got the phaser ring, like the weapon ring, I mean. So there's a very, and it just feels dangerous being that close to the saucer because that arc is not as good as it should be. Like you could easily hit the struts.
Yeah. You can't fire straight down because you'll hit. Yeah.
I mean that might have been a literal thing to show the inefficiency of weapons grid, and to be fair, that might go along with your theory that nacelles were not intentional. They were different to nacelles originally because the nacelles are the problem there. If originally in the original Cerritos, Cerritos version 1 pre lower decks refit, what if the deflector hole was connected to the ship with a neck, then the phaser strip would be able to go a lot further out. Maybe that's more of a symptom of it was cobbled, hence those things don't make sense.
Maybe.
Oh
you
my
never
goodness.
Get a sense of that though. 174 people watching, which is fantastic, but 144 likes. Can we get 6 more likes to bump us up to 150? Because that would be amazing. And some more super chats so we can look at this thing in 3D would be also kind of fun. So if you can, please do.
Yes.
I gotta say too, I like the design of the forward facing or the forward deflector. It's kind of got the look of the Enterprise D, but it's curved differently.
Oh yes.
And I do like the pod, just the style of the pod in general, and the row of lights along the top. Like I hope there's some kind of observation deck or something on the top of that pod that we get to see eventually.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. Or maybe that's like the hydroponics area, something kind of nice and open. Although Camille O says shuttle bay doors are at the ends of those charcoal grey points at the aft starboard and port. We've already discussed this. We don't think they are because they haven't launched from there and they're umbilicals, and there's proof of yes and proof of no. So
yes. No confirmation yet.
Conflicting information so far.
Judge 1981 $5.
Hey,
Ryan Hannigan made a point.
Okay.
Made a point. I've thought this looks partly like the Vulcan warp sled from Star Trek: The Motion Picture. I think we mentioned that actually when we first took a look at it. If you take the struts off and just have the nacelles and the center pod, it looks very much like that kind of design. I still can't remember the goddamn alien ship that it looks like almost cut and paste. But anyway, yeah. I don't think there's any relation in that regard, but
No, yeah. I mean, it's interesting. It could be. It would be fun to see what. I know I've listened to an interview with Mike, and he said Miranda was something, and a few of those influences. But that's the thing about. There's only so many designs, as in design styles. As we said with Sean Hargraves, he hadn't even seen the NX-01, which is a bizarre thing to say and kind of embarrassing, really. But yet there's only parallels, but that was just because he just did a few of the basic things together.
Mm-hmm.
It just happens. I do think this is one of its best views, though. And we do see this angle, like reversed. Like here's a very similar angle, here's a very similar angle. It's one of its better angles. It makes the nacelles less long, and it truncates the pylons. So like we discovered, it lessens the offenders and lets you see all of the detail of the ship, give or take.
See, my favorite view of the ship
Oh,
side. It's the same as the Kelvin Enterprise, the JJ Prize. From the side, it looks cool. It looks like a little bit of a hot rod. You know, it looks good. You change the angle a little bit, and you got the wrong size and the wrong proportions, and the spacing's all wrong. This one's kind of the same thing. That being said, there are some views that it looks good. Like there are some ships like the original Connie that I think look great from almost every angle.
Almost, yeah.
And other ones just don't quite hold that. The Enterprise E does not look good from every angle. It's not a good-looking ship from a lot of angles in my eyes, anyway.
I was going to use it as examples if it did look good from almost every angle. The NX is probably not a good from every angle one, or at least it's very similar from a lot of angles because how flat it is.
Yeah,
there's like 3 hero poses and then a couple of non-poses. But yeah, the next view though is the engines, or at least the front part with the strange. You're right, the only green, and these are blinky ovals, which again is an odd thing, but also they don't blink, so they are not nav lights, and they're not blinkies, and they're ovals. Don't know what they're trying to be then.
And Reese just asked us in the chat, what do you guys think of the Cerritos very heavy-duty Bizards? Perfect timing. Yes. Could the Cali class have larger warp core than the Enterprise D and E because it's like a truck, large and geared for torque, not speed?
we did debate that, certainly. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm back. Jeff Jacobs, $2, 150 here and gone. 200, here we come. Hashtag make Jeff pay. If you guys, we have 180, which is great. People watching, which is awesome. So if you haven't hit like yet, please do. We'd appreciate it.
And Christopher Dole says, hi, Stuart and Samuel. Hi, Christopher.
Hey, Christopher Dole. How's it going?
Finally caught up. You're live. I'm enjoying the USS Cerritos so far, but I've held my critique of it in check because it's basically a cartoon, if that makes sense. Yes.
Absolutely.
But it's earned the respect of being treated like a normal show, which is an achievement.
Because of a lot of the great canon references and just spot-on accuracy that they've been displaying. So.
Yeah. But speaking of I'll always thank them for their lack of slice in the pennant. That was so. I imagine it was so close to being in the pennant. That little cut, like so close. I bet CBS thought that, and Mike was like, no, because it's got side pennants that as weird as they are, but they're right. Also, they should be white. I think that's a later iteration. I made them, or they're gentle white here, but they're white pennants, not red. There's no name in the yellow. They're yellow, not red. So there's a few odd changes. Although I guess yellow for yellow because the whole thing's yellow. But actually, I really like these Basards in theory. I like the plate type. I mean, I've had to texture it so I kind of understand it more. The way the plates are. I mean, it feels kind of like if you'd made an armored TOS Connie. So they've got the tubes, but armored. But therefore, to see that sort of aesthetic this many 100+ years later, you're like, well, why are they looking like this?
Yeah, I mean, as I've said since the beginning, they look unfinished. It looks like something happened to the front of the protective casing, the shielding, and the Bizarre cap. It just looks like it's exposed internal.
That is true.
Design, which I thought it was originally, and I thought that maybe it would be explained along with the pylons looking so odd, but no, it's never mentioned, never explained.
It does set them apart though.
And it's I think it's a cool look. I just think it looks unfinished.
That would be interesting to see though, if you actually extended the normal nacelle backs into a normal conventional Basard, how that would change the feel. Like keep those shapes going. That I think would be a good experiment. But the next view though is that pod with the deflector, which yes, I think deflector is one of its best parts. It's good deflector. You get the yellow stripe on the pod. You have the holes in these pylons as well, which make them very small pylons, relatively speaking. And yet they've got to have, presumably, they have to have in those tiny pylons all of the power conduits, if the engineering's in there, all of the EPS conduits for the entire ship, warp plasma, and turbolift, and presumably Jeffrey's tube through the tiny pods with a hole. This one should definitely not have had a hole in. You're wasting all of the space you need, Well, clear not all you need because it's obviously it works, but very odd, and you never really focus on this bit. Definitely weird.
Yeah, but I mean, the pod is something that I find most intriguing about this ship. I want to learn more about it. I want to see the inside of it. I want to know what it's all about. If that's in fact the engine room, if that's just the deflector control, I want to know. Plus, those windows at the top, I think, are a nice addition, and something that's not really necessarily needed, but I like the addition of them. So, yeah, pod is a good idea.
The Barrett says our live stream shows up in a live stream from Keen SWH Game Developers Opening.
Oh, he's talking to Judge 1981, I think.
But he's also a mod, so he could be talking about us. Clarify. Who are these people?
Yeah, anyway.
Let us know. But yeah, I mean, we definitely need more external shots which pan around certain areas they're in. That would be good. You know, like, you know, cut to we're in the engine room. Let's see a pan of the pod, etc., etc. So it certainly could do with some of those. And yeah, definitely lack of detail, but it's obviously the less detailed section. But speaking of, here's the front again with phaser strips, the escape pods, and the bridge not window. Still feels so plain without the registry. It needs that registry. Absolutely needs it. It was a massive, I'm not going to say misstep, I almost did, but oddity. Oddity
is the perfect word for it, because it kind of goes against what we've seen from 50 years of Trek ships, or at least Starfleet ships. You know what I mean? So there's got to be a reason for it. We need to find out what that is. So, Fleet Boss Swiftback throws in $5. That's what I get for answering a phone call. 167 likes. Woohoo! We can hit 200 for sure. Do it. Hashtag make Fleet Pop pay. 167 likes right now with 184 people watching. That's awesome. If you haven't hit like yet, guys, please hit like. I would like to get those at least to 175. That's another 7 likes. We can do that. So let's get there.
And the Barrett clarifies Keen software houses makers of the Space Engineer Simulator. Cool, but can you clarify if you mean this live or Judge 1981's live? And if you can put a link.
Yeah, he said that's how he got here. So I mean,
to our live.
That's weird, yeah.
So he's saying they promoted this live on their live, which is kind of cool. Hello, if you know, I've only heard good things about Space Engineers, but use your space in the chat to comment and let us know because you're confusing us.
Yes. We don't like to be confused. We're already confused enough as it is.
Because it's damn ship.
Anyway.
Next week, though, the impulse engines and the potential shuttle bay doors with windows around them.
See, I'm not sure those are shuttle bay doors. Those seem, if that's a door, I hope it's more for just like work bees. You know, like
well, embarkation. I mean, we know it's an embarkation parts. Like, we know you connect to a starbase via those places, but that's all we know.
Yeah. And the impulse engines are grossly undersized. There's so much room on the back of this saucer.
I know.
It's like the Enterprise C, the Ambassador class. The back of that saucer is just missing something. It's plain. Fix it. This is the part of I like least about the ship is the back of that saucer. The rest of it is not too bad. But the back of the saucer just needs something, anything.
I do think though, and this is I want to be fair. If I was to go back and redesign the Connie, I would make the impulse engines bigger. They are criminally undersized too. It's the exact same way. Future tech, fast, small. But proportionally, they are too small. Now,
when you compare it to other ships like the E, the D, anything from that time period, they're slits. They're just.
But I mean, maybe again, this is really like pushing it. The Defiant. I mean, its impulse engines are tiny circles in the back that are not always lit up. Its impulse engines are excruciatingly small, beyond small. But then again, it's percentage of backspace, whatever. I guess you could argue that of all the things a ship might need, might be impulse engines, sublight, to evade. Like, it doesn't have the weapons, doesn't have the warp, but maybe it has a maneuverability factor. Hence, they gave it like much like Enterprise E level impulse engines, but on a smaller scale because of the nature of the ship. And so that's all they needed for like a really efficient impulse management system where they kind of gave them that. That's one of their punches, one of their good levels.
See, the struts are the perfect width for some. Put some goddamn impulse engines in the back of the struts. I mean, we've got them. We've got 4 sets of struts, or 4 struts here, 2 sets. And we know with Starfleet Online, that's where they are.
Okay, I'll back you up on that. If you were to close the holes and give them impulse engines like Voyager, not like...
Yes, that's what I meant.
Yeah, because I was picturing like the Picard Bird of Prey, which not necessarily a bad thing, but it's a different era, different design. Have those in could look kind of cool, or they would kind of feel flimsy in the same way as Voyager a little bit, but I could see that working. I mean, honestly, this ship is now we've got the full design. It's begging for a slight redesign, or at least just adding what's missing. You know what I mean? Like adding those torpedo tubes, putting the shuttle bay back in, moving the impulse engines, and the shuttle bay doors. But it is what it is. We know now.
You know what else? You know what else is what it is? We got a new member to the channel. Oh. Robbie Ansley has joined the channel at the rank of commander. So welcome, commander.
You are a slave as well for the captain. I mean, part of his crew.
Appreciate.
Makes a big difference.
Support.
Big, yes. Like seriously, membership, guys, is a big deal. Awesome.
Yes, absolutely, big deal.
But Stuart, we're almost at 200 likes. That's also a big deal.
We're 18 away from 200 likes. If there's 18 of you out there that haven't hit the like button, if you're sitting there and you go, I haven't hit like, why haven't I hit like? If you don't know how to hit like, if you're on a mobile device, you close the live chat, you hit the thumbs up, then you re-click the live chat to bring your live chat back up. You won't miss anything, I promise.
We'll still be here chatting. And it's like, come on, it's less than 10% of the people watching. Less than 10%. And I know 87% of you have already clicked like because you're that amazing. How about the last 13% of you? Come on. That's all we need.
Oh, somebody just clicked like. Somebody just did it. Come on, we got to get some more. 17 people. You can do it. Oh, there we go. Oh, 15 now. See? You guys are doing it.
It's working.
Walk you through. Oh, 14 people. See? Just you can do it. It's that little thumbs up. If it is not blue, you did. Or if it isn't blue, you did not do.
Oh, speaking of blue, here's a tile sequence of the Blue Nebula. Look, she's in motion. He's delayed.
I'm super delayed on this end here, so.
So the last shot I had was the back with the impulse engine and such. But I do think we should actually open the 3D model, and have some custom, give it a whirl. So I would like to see $30. Now I was going to say 40 originally, so we've already had about 10. So I want to see 30 American, and I'll bring the 3D model in, and then we can get some custom looks in 3D. Yeah. That is, I mean, no one else has done that in the world yet, live on stream. And $30, and 6 5s.
Do it, guys.
Do it.
Well, it makes me address Scott Withrow there, who says, "Are memberships better than Patreon?"
Great question.
Don't know if they're better necessarily, but it's a lot more fun if you join the lives for sure.
Yeah.
Because you get your name highlighted, you get a badge beside your name, shows us how long you've been with us. You're more likely to read out your comments and stuff in the chats. Plus, you get all these stickers and emojis to put in the chat. So,
yeah, both go to us directly as our rent money.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're part of the lives, we'd love to see your name here. But yeah, Patreon does take a little bit less, but you don't.
Jamal Tyler says, counting the dislikes, you're at 201 reaction. That's not 200 likes. We're at 196 likes. That means 4 people need to hit like. Can you be our hero, our savior? 3 people now need to hit like. So we got a 3. Can I get 2? Can I get 2? Can you hit the like button and get a 2? Can we? I can't do auction. I can't do an auction here. Sorry.
And what's funny is that I literally looked, as you said hero, I looked at my notes, which my CGI notes, which said Cerritos hero model. So I was looking at hero and you said hero. So you cannot get more hero-esque. Guys, $30 and we can bring this thing to life onto the stream. Basically, Stuart, I'm trying to say, do you want to bring a celebrity into the stream? I mean, in the context of our narrative, the Cerritos is the hero ship, and we can bring her onto the stream for $30, and then we can do some custom stuff. Not up to me, guys. It's not even up to Stuart. You know.
No, it's not.
We have no power here. Apart from the render power of my PC, which if it was a slower PC, it wouldn't be able to render it quickly to show you.
Mark Henson, guys, I just watched Anti-Trekker's video about the state of the fandom menace now. It's a great video. Check it out. Yeah, they're kind of spiraling and imploding because they just hate, which we kind of speculated, but
I mean, you can only go so far with hate.
Yeah. Caleb Horn, $10. Here's $10.
1/3 of the way.
And we hit 200 likes officially, so thank you guys. Awesome. That is great.
Is amazing. That's the freeway.
Amazing.
I'm looking for I'm looking for what the image size is. That's what I'm looking for. So $20 more. That's all. That is all. And then we get to see. And I think we had an order for a Nebula class, so we'll see a Nebula right out the gate. I'll load up the USS Bonchoon. Mr.
And Trek,
because it was easy, and then oops, they didn't change it, so now my name is the official name of the ship. Oopsie.
Trek reviewer, Trek Yards. I am assuming the ship class was still active during the Dominion War. What role do you think it played during that conflict? The runaway role.
Picked up hurt people and took them back to a starbase. That's it. Like they have no weapons to speak of. They have no shields to speak of. Yeah, purely, medical. They were gutted. I mean, there were not much at all.
Area 51, $5. Is there such a thing as a perfect design or near perfect? Yes. The Constitution
class refit.
And the refit. They're both perfect.
Differently perfect.
Yes.
And also the D, while odd, is so well thought out. Like, if you get a chance to talk to Andrew Probert, like, it's more thought out than any other ship. It's really crazy,
Tuning 3434, €5. Cause 202 likes and $5 to make it halfway. 30.
Oh. I think we're only we're only $3 more. That's it. 3.
Well, Judge 1981, $2 donation for the Barrett, because I guess the Barrett couldn't donate right now, but thank you. Appreciate that, Judge 1981. And the Barrett, thank you very much. And Fleet Boss Fit Back, $5. 201 likes. Heck to the yeah. Love it. Keep on rolling to 225. Do it.
It's $3 more. 3.
$3 more.
It's loaded right up, guys. I can just start.
$3 more.
I would say supply ship is also courier. Maybe not though, because it's not fast enough. Especially in time of war, you'd possibly even send like a Defiant as a courier.
That being said, we don't know its top speed. It's never been stated.
Yeah, but with those nacelles in that engine room, let's not go crazy.
It's a big ass engine room and a big ass warp core and funky nacelles that could be prototypes. It could be the fastest fleet. We don't know. It's but obviously not. It's
prototype in the Enterprise C era, Stuart.
Anyway, I'm trying to be optimistic. $3 more. Come on, guys. $3 more.
Right there.
$3 more.
And I'm just getting the
good old gamer. They were a recovery ship after conquered planets like Beta Z were returned to Federation control. Yeah.
While graphic, there's
could have been a police ship like in Starfleet Battles, says Thomas Adams. Yeah, it looks very similar. Yeah.
Without weapons though, as in weapons to speak of.
Well, yeah. Ozzy Maderos, $5. Hey. They have weapons. The head of security wants to fire torpedoes. Okie dokie. Skeleton hands. That's a good point, Ozzy.
Okay, and now we have a Nebula, which, that looks cool. So should I actually press the button and bring the hero of the tail in?
Okay. And I'll keep reading the super chat. Okay. Scott Withrow, $3. Here you go. David Gip, sorry, $5.
Hey.
Yes, money. And Caleb Horn, $5 with no comment. But thank you very much.
It's amazing timing, isn't it? You just you wait for a bit, and everyone suddenly hears you say you want $3, and everyone helps.
Because they're just so annoyed with us not doing anything. They're like, I'll put in $3, and then 5 other people do the same thing at the same time.
Which means everyone wins. And this should just here we go, perfectly sized. Okay, so here we have it with a Nebula class, the Bonchoon from Voyager. That weapons pod is like, wow, that weapons pod is the size of that saucer. It's a lot of torpedoes.
That's cool.
Let's look at them side by side. Vibe-wise, I mean, you can certainly see us. And again, I do apologize. Obviously, my looking at this is delayed because I'm doing it.
Mine is super delayed.
Right, it's the same.
Lawrence Hogwood puts in $5 with no comment, but thank you.
That's interesting. And this is the first time anyone's probably ever done this view. And guys, you definitely earned the 3D-ness, so yay.
That is super cool.
I also framed it, so I should be able to just like, because I know before we've had it, so I've framed it and it hasn't fit in the frame, but I've actually built the frame around what they can see. So I should be able to... What do you think?
They look like part of the same fleet to me. They got... Well, I think Mike McMahon said that the Miranda and the Nebula are some of his favorite ships, and that's basically what the Cerritos turned out to be, as a combination of both.
And Robbie says, ready to serve Captain Foley and Commander, glad to be part of a balanced Trek group. Thank you. And Wouter is Lightwave 3D, same as the shows, at least the old shows. It definitely looks like it's on a similar vein. Just Cerritos is more boxy, more basic bitch. You know, Nebula is more frontline. This is absolutely staying home. You know, it's the second cousin that isn't quite pretty enough to go out on the front line of clubbing, but she can stay at home. Sorry.
Everybody's got a friend or a brother that they take to the club with them that she can have. Yeah.
Honestly, though, it does make me wish that we had a Nebula style. The deflector was attached to the body, and the nacelles were pointing down with those beautiful curved. That I think that might look better. Just the way that the nacelles, the panels are so doesn't look as good. It now stands out more as being they cheaped out there. What do you think?
You know what it looks like? It looks like that ship that we saw in Space Dock for Children of Mars.
Oh yeah, people have said that the tug.
It's got that same stance. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I saw an annoying comment saying, "Look, the Cerritos. It was in Picard," and I'm like, "No, that's a Discovery reused asset. So it's not in Picard. It's in Discovery, and it was a reused asset from 4 ships, and we know because they've revealed which 4 ships." Well, it's one of their best ships because it was. Yes, it definitely looks, and it would have been even more similar if they had the.
Hey, ENG09, good to see you. Welcome.
Hey. Which came?
He's one of my bridge crew.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so what ship would everyone like to see next? We've got a little bit of lifetime left. Super Chatter ship, and you know what, Stuart? I'm going to be generous. We can go non-Trek. And that is, I mean, okay, to be fair, that's a really hard thing to say. But look at my wall. If it's on the wall, that's a good thing. If it's on the wall, we can show it.
The Phoenix from G-Force.
Go F yourself. No. If it's on the wall... Oh, okay. I was on the wrong...
Trek reviewer. The Cerritos looks like it can land on water.
Yeah.
Pontoons.
Does a bit. It's flying close by. This is why I had it made high poly, so it holds up this close.
Reese says, nah, the heavy-duty struts on the Cali look more water or workmanlike than the rounded struts on the Nebula. I honestly reckon in warp, this little ship might out-tow the Nebula.
I was semi with you until that point. Lost me at the end. Anyone want to see it so much they'll super chat?
Oh.
Do we have something?
No. It's just there's a few requests.
I was gonna bring in something I think until we get a super. Let's see what could be interesting.
There's 2 really good ones in the chat actually. But
that I'm not gonna trust to scale on because I don't know.
Christopher Dahl, the Galactica.
Hit that would chug my PC a bit.
And the Sovereign would be good too.
The Sovereign would be good too. What about the Equinox? That's also quite a
support ship.
It's on a support ship. And we'll see the embarrassing lack of windows
Ross Turner says any of the Wolf 359 ships for comparison.
I got New Orleans. That's about it.
The Narlands.
Okay. Where's the Equinox gone? There it is. Boy.
ENG09, awesome, puts in $7 and says, cheers, guys. Thank you, ENG. Appreciate it.
Now, this is a slight annoyance, though. Because, boy, that Equinox looks a billion times more advanced. Like, my God. Cerritos looks like a backwards... You know what I mean? Like, that feels like a small Federation ship.
Well, the Cerritos is much older than the Equinox design.
We hope.
So, over class. Like, yeah.
I mean, the Equinox isn't new. I mean, the Equinox is not... Yeah, like, it's not old.
It's part of the new design style, though.
But it's one of the earliest ones, because it already got lost before Voyager.
It's one of the earlier ones, but it's still part of the new ones. Relax. Part of the first contact fleet.
Yes. Yeah, yes. Well, again, one of the earliest ones, yeah. But it would still been around in early TNG, because it had to be, because that was early TNG. So if by that logic, this must have been... And you can't imagine the Nova would be particularly, like, money or resource intensive. It was a short-range vessel. Yeah, let's bring that more. Oh. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, much smaller windows. Although, then you have the larger windows, and it's like, sure. Yeah, Windows, man, they can make or break, and if you don't think about Windows. But I did the escape pod hatches match up almost identically. They're a smidge smaller, and the windows are. It's just that rim. That rim makes no sense. That 3-deck rim makes no sense at all.
Hasn't since day one. John Chamness at Captain Foley. Red and green lights have been used for centuries on ships to tell bearing in poor or dark desert conditions. That's what I said.
Just not on the same side both times.
Yeah, they shouldn't.
They're different.
Yeah.
Actually,
exactly.
Stuart, let's compare the shuttle bay size of the Nova to the Cerritos.
Sure. Judge, 1981, $2. The Barrett requests the event horizon, as do I.
Oh, God. Well, I can load it, but it's not going to be scaled. I guarantee it's not scaled. So that is... that's just a ship of folly. Okay.
Ship of Foley? What?
Interesting, Stuart. Interesting. That shuttle bay door, really close. Really, really close, scale-wise. Damn.
I would be down if those were the shuttle bay doors on the Cerritos. But the way they've been presented, it's hard to say. It doesn't... I want to see a ship launch or land out of it. I want to see them open with just a force field up. But yeah, the scaling's quite right there.
And again, this is my scaling based on the deck size. But I mean, decks should be the same size on the same ships. So, but we did see the shuttle bay and it's 2 decks. And I don't think this ship bay is 2 decks. So it would be interesting. Let me grab a shuttle. Now the shuttles are a hard one because I have the actual scale of the actual shuttle, but it doesn't mean it's the same size the shuttle's intended to be. And then once they did that, they committed to it, etc., etc. But this is what they use in the show. So let me load the shuttle from the show, and see.
Well, that's like a natural place for either impulse engines or shuttle bay, which would be fine. I prefer those be impulse engines and the shuttle bay be in the middle, but I'm willing to accept those are shuttle bays if we see something launch out of them, because so far we have not.
Let's load a Type 8, which is actually not a Type 8, but it's called Type 8 for some reason. Let's load a big ugly shuttle, which is their internal name for the Type 6. Yeah, they have some funny names in their files. They did not like that shuttle design. Now this is obviously, I don't know if this is to scale, but it's the scale they used, so therefore grain of salt, but I mean it's certainly trying to be close. And we've seen the Cerritos' shuttle bay, and it's, I mean, let me go back and look at this show. Oh dear. I haven't seen the door at all. We saw it launch this week. No, last week. Thoughts, Stuart?
Seems a little bit small for a shuttle bay door. I mean, yeah, it fits, but there's not much room for error.
Now, I was about to say the door looks weirdly small compared to the shuttle bay, but I mean, the door wouldn't be the entire size of the shuttle bay. It never has been. But if you look at the shuttle bay, it's much bigger. Let me just swap that around. So this is the shuttle bay. Well, 2 decks, and in fact with the shuttle headroom, 3 decks happily. So if that's the entire pod though, then back to the light wave. Oh. And you've kind of got, if you factor it in, but then you've got, those windows don't make a lick of sense, but I don't think they're meant to necessarily. So you've kind of got, the shuttle would have to sort of move. If the shuttle bay was lower, it would have to go up and out. But then making such a small bay door compared to the bay, but it's not unreasonable per se.
Majin Shenron says it's the scale, right?
It will be close-ish.
Olivia Julius, $5. Finished driving for the day, and I guess I'll say hi and hit like. Maybe whoever pay. So we're at 215 likes, which is awesome. 175 of you here. If you haven't hit like yet, please do hit like. And thank you very much, Olivia. Good to see you.
I think final super chat and final 3D throw something in. But please be a Trek ship that I can do. So final super chat, throw us one. It could be a Sovereign, a Prometheus, Delta Flyer,
And the reason we didn't do Event Horizon, even though it was asked for, is because it wouldn't be to scale. So
you'd be like, cool, but it wouldn't really be to scale. Not sure what the point would be per se. And Girl Gamer says
the Barrett says doesn't add up for scale for the shuttle.
It does and it doesn't. I mean, that's a Type 8 shuttle, not their new shuttle, which is absolutely thinner. So that's different. And the door is roughly based, because we've not seen a close-up, so matching up that 3D for the big model is obviously based on faraway exteriors. But if you're doing it properly, you need those sorts of hero things. And yeah, Type 6 and Type 6A.
And Jamal says, okay, put it next to the drop bay if that's what those are.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. They aren't, but I'll do it.
Judge 1981 puts in $2. Connie Refit. That's the one. And Olivia Julius throws in $5 with last. She has the last super chat slot, I guess. Unless somebody else wants to scoop it. But the refit Connie will be the one let's look at for the size here.
So drop bay. Zoom.
Fleet Fought Swiftback, $2. Valdor.
Yeah. I think I have to find one to scale.
And Olivia Julius, $1 just because.
So drop bay, very droppable. Pretty big. Now obviously this is the grain of, these ones are more grain of salt because we had no clear view of this. We had an ortho top and not an ortho bottom, so this is obviously a bit more grain of salty. But there she is. I mean, I don't think you said it wouldn't work as a drop ship. A drop bay. Let's see.
Just how we've seen them in show, they don't appear to be drop bay setup. So, David Gipe, $2. Come try.
Got a bit surreal suddenly loading in another ship.
Oh, sorry. Come try it. It's what?
I'm saying it's a bit surreal to suddenly see the refit with it. Like it's just a bit surreal, You can say surreal toast, but
surreal toast.
Well, double dumbass on you.
Good. That was a response. That was what I was looking for. So good.
Although, those top pods absolutely should be torpedo launchers based on the scaling. I absolutely would have those as torpedo launchers. That is so close to fitting like a glove. I think that actually would fit like a glove. Yeah, that is a perfect size torpedo launcher. Again, these are kind of extrapolations, but we can say just put one in there. That would be a good scale for torpedo launcher. Weird place for torpedo launcher, but sure, why not?
Very cool.
And actually, let's look at the bridge window. So that's how big the refit bridge is compared to the Cerritos bridge. What does it tell you? I don't know.
Don't. So I mean, Fleet Pop put in $2 for Valdor.
Yes.
But
I need to... Where did I last use Valdor at scale? I would have been in the Doderidex episode, so I have to find the Doderidex episode. That would make sense. Why are you looking at me like that? Do not look at me like that.
Because you amaze me every day.
Oh. Every day I'm 3Ding. Oh dear. This is why you come here, isn't it? Stuart's dad jokes and my lack of entertainment jokes. So here's them two doing a weird maneuver together. The nacelles certainly feel a bit more appropriate when you do this. Weirdly. But boy, Cerritos needs a bridge dome. Now seeing this, it's like, yeah, give us a bridge dome. You know, lads. You know, yo designers.
Yo, what's up? Bridge dome.
Bridge dome.
Bridge dome. Bridge dome me. Come on.
Yeah, you keep talking to the chat. I just need to find the episode.
Hi, chat. How are you?
Oh,
I'm well, thank you.
Oh God, he's so good.
Oh, really? That's awesome. I'm glad you had a good day.
Oh,
Work was a little tough, though, yeah?
why did I hire him to be the face of this? Oh, his face is so pretty, that's why.
Oi!
Oh, that's what it's called, okay. Oh, no.
Flip the Cerritos over, says good old gamer.
Sure.
That was the next.
Yep.
It looks better upside down. It really does. I think it looks very cool.
It looks more like a flying saucer with stuff in it. Not necessarily a bad thing, but...
James McGill, $5. USS Cerritos wasn't love at first sight, but after seeing the realistic version, CGI, or CG, I come to appreciate this design. Wonderful addition to Starfleet.
Awesome.
That's an awesome comment. Thank you very much.
And yes, I have Valdor Scaled. I even have a file called Valdor Scaled. As if it's worth doing once and then having it ready to go because people might ask for it, 2.5 years later. Who's to say? Who's to say? I'm just turn the aircon
The Barrett says you guys could totally fit in the Big Bang Theory. And he said, I meant it funny, not serious. And you're muted, just so you know.
Oh, yes, aircon. Right, you ready for the dramatic reveal? Da 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 da. Oh my god, it's the newest Romulan warship coming to say, nah, bruv, we big. And who has more windows? Not sure. Because that has a lot of windows, has the Valdor. Well, you give it a big ass neck, it looks kind of cool, actually.
Very Valdor-y.
Yes.
Yeah, those nacelles are lightsabers, says Jamal.
Oh, they really are. Yeah. Alright, so there's the pride of the Romulan fleet.
Probably just a doctor's tool that they used in TNG,
Sonic
and I like it.
screwdriver?
Use those for nacelles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. There she is. A bit menacing.
And Trek Reviewer... Yeah, Trek Reviewer removed the pod, and it looks like the Lochnar class starship from FASA. Yes. Yeah, that's a good size. I like that.
It's definitely going to get killed, though. Ain't going to survive that battle. Oh, speaking of, Stuart, let's bring the Borg cube.
Yeah.
Let's remake that intro live. And you know what? I'm going to reissue the last Super Chat award. Who wants to be the double last Super Chats? Why is Stuart's face gone? Oh. Where's the... Okay, there we go. 3. And we're going to use the TNG scale, not the Voyager scale, because they are different, even though they aren't, but they are. Long story. We'll have to do a video about that at some point, because they is different. Alright. Oh. That's Wolf 359, this bitch. How would Best of Both Worlds know? How would Q Who be? With a Valdor and a Cerritos and a shuttle, because the shuttle's still in the scene. Yes, the obvious fleet to destroy a Borg cube is a Cerritos, a Valdor, and a shuttle. Yep, that makes sense.
The Castilian, I could see the Cerritos California class being originally a TNG era tug like the Ptolemy, and later being made into a general purpose ship.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, ball cubes are kind of hard to light and move for because they're quite big, you know. As if you didn't know. Yeah, there she is to a ball cube. She's pretty big.
You should do the whole scene with the warbirds and the orcs and.
Should I now?
Not now. Not now.
Yeah.
But at some point.
I like it, yeah. 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 Alright, guys.
It's been fun.
It's
been
been
good
fun.
Discussion.
Yeah. And you guys kicked out on Super Chats. Thank you so much. You know, we disclaimed we've had not a good run recently, and you guys gave us a good run. So, thank you so much. And we are doing something tomorrow, and something the next day, and something the day after that too.
A review tomorrow, and predictions for the next episode on Wednesday, and Thursday absolutely nothing except me. I'll be doing all the first reaction to the next episode.
I'll be prepping for Friday.
Then Friday we're going to be doing our live viewing breakdown.
Yeah. Oh, now what was the next one meant to? Oh, about the mentioned Q and the Traveller. So I've no idea what it's about. Quite excited to see what it's about. And I'm confused by what it could be about, but that's also a good thing. So, and I definitely think it's going to be a Tindy episode. I think we'll talk about that obviously on Friday, Wednesday. But I think it'll be a Tindy focused.
Robbie Ansley, $2 just because. Thank you.
I was about to say Robbie final super chat, but then he got sniped. My God.
James McGill, $2. Thanks for the subtitles on a live show.
Oh.
Thank you for the subtitles. What, we added subtitles?
Oh, what? Yeah, we have closed captioning. Oh no, Dimension Q
and
the Traveller, so I've had no idea what about, quite excited to us about. I'm confused what it could be about, but that's also a good thing, so I definitely have in the episode. I think we'll have to, whether I'll see you on Friday, Wednesday, will be a tendency to be focused, Robbie Astley, $2 just because, thank you. Jamie
cool,
Fox.
I didn't know we had that turned on.
Oh, we're always turned on. The subtitles on live show, thank you for the subtitles. Let me get to subtitling the subtitles in a second. We've also added subtitles. Yeah, we know of closed captioning. All y'all know Dimension.
All right, I think that's good. Bye, guys.
We're excited about. I'm confused what it could be. It's subtitling my own subtitles. We'll see you tomorrow, guys. Thanks, everybody. Bye.